Hi everyone, Jamie Humphries here for Six String Alliance, and today's quick riff we are taking a look at the David Bowie classic Ziggy Stardust as performed by Mick Ronson. So I've just taken part in a video over on Produce Like a Pro with my good friend Warren Hewitt, looking at the guitar parts from Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie, performed by Mick Ronson. And we kind of thought that this might be a nice tune to look at here on Six String Alliance. So I put a slightly more in-depth lesson together for you to take a look at the main parts from this iconic song. So this song is from 1972 and it's taken from the David Bowie concept album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Now, the original recording features David Bowie on acoustic guitar, while session guitar player Mick Ronson handled the electric parts. Now, Mick Ronson had a very unique sound. Now, during his very short career, he passed away in the early 90s. He used a wide variety of guitars, but he's most famously known for using a 1968 Les Paul Custom with all the finish removed. And he felt that the guitar resonated better without finish, just having the natural wood. And it's such an iconic guitar that Billy Duffy from the Cult has played a Les Paul in that style as a nod to one of his biggest heroes. And in fact, Billy Duffy's own signature Les Paul has the natural top on it. As well as the Gibson Les Paul, during this period, Mick Ronson was using Marshall amps. That's very apparent on this recording. He favoured the Marshall Major. You can really hear a big, loud amp resonating and feedbacking, especially when listening to the isolated guitar parts. He also used a wah pedal as a tone control, which he had pretty much on all the time. And it was set sort of half-cocked to give him a very throaty and exaggerated upper mid-range growl, which really made his guitar sound push through the mix. Now, to achieve a ballpark tone, yes, I'm not going to say it's exact. It was quite a hard sound to try and replicate, but I got something which I feel is kind of in the spirit of the original. I'm using a Les Paul standard gold top. I'm running into a Helix rack, line 6 Helix rack. I'm using a Marshall style or Plexi style amp model on the bright channel, and I'm using a double mic'd cabinet 4x12. I think I'm using the 25-watt speaker model for my cabinet. I've got a wah pedal in the front end, a model of the wah pedal. This is all within Helix. The lovely thing about using the wah within Helix is that you can blend it in so it doesn't become too obtrusive. So I found the frequency that kind of sounded right, and then I just pulled the mix of the wah pedal back so it wasn't too overpowering. I'm also using an EQ to add a little bit of bright tiz on the top end and also to boost a little bit of the low mid frequencies. Now, on the original recording, the guitar parts were double tracked. So to try and replicate a little bit of that double tracked feel and sound, I'm using the ADT delay, which is in Helix, which is the artificial double tracking delay. So you just add a slight, I think I'm on about 30 milliseconds, 25 milliseconds on one side and adjusting the level. So one slide's ever so slightly louder, pan them, and you get that kind of double track feel. It really adds width and a lot of punch to your guitar sound. I absolutely love that effect within Helix. Okay, so let's take a look at the riffs. We're going to break this down into 3 sections. We're going to kick things off by looking at the main riff. We start off with a full open G chord. This is an open position chord. I say the full version because we're playing the 3rd fret of the B as well as the 3rd fret top E. Nice big powerful raked strum. Now, this is the mistake that many people make on the next chord, and I must admit, I played this song this way for years, but doing a little bit of research, finding a couple of old concert footage on YouTube of David Bowie playing in the early 70s, you can clearly see Mick Ronson moving up to play a double barred A shape of the D major chord, adding his little finger on the B string to change the chord into a D sus4. There's also a really lovely video of Mick being interviewed, and he plays to the riff, whereas when he plays it in this video, he just holds the D triad with one finger, but he's definitely not playing it in the open position. And this is something that I've seen a lot of people doing. They're playing that open D. So to really get the kind of sound of the riff, you need to play that double barred A shape. And when you play that, you're kind of raking. You know, it's not just a straight strum rake across. And then you're adding that sus4 on and off. And then we play the B to the G. Coming from the G up to the 5 chord, and then turning it into a sus. Now, this is another iconic part of this riff, which is that sort of descending figure. You hold a C add 9 chord, and we arpeggiate from the root on the A to the B and the G, and we repeat that. Drop down from your 2nd finger on the 3rd fret A to the 2nd fret of the A to play an inversion of a G major. It's a first inversion. This is a G over B. Then to the open A, which is an A7 sus4. Now, the kind of secret ingredient of this riff, it was always really hard to hear exactly what was going on. And thanks to Warren and his team, they sent me an isolated track, which was lovely. But you could clearly hear on one side you had that sort of very nasally wah-wah soaked tone, which was a little bit more distorted with the chord arpeggios, whilst on the other side there was another guitar. I wasn't too sure if it had the wah on it. It was a little bit cleaner, and it was just playing just the straight chords, C add 9 G over B and the A7 sus4. So you just got this. And it, you know, when you put that together with the chord arpeggios, you kind of get this massive wall of the powerful chords with that sort of picking underneath. It really is a beautifully orchestrated piece of guitar. So one more time slowly. Okay, so now we're going to move into the verse. We start off with that G major, which kind of concludes the intro riff, the main riff. The guitar sort of cleans up. I love this section. Not only does it really display how much of an inventive guitar player Mick Ronson was, instead of just playing straight major and minor chords to follow David Bowie's acoustic part. You know, he's playing these lovely partial chords. He's playing figures with harmonics. He's playing single note lines. It's just an absolutely fantastically constructed guitar part. The other thing I also love is you really know he's in a room with a cranked up amp. There's no amp modeling going on back then. You can hear the amp, you know, rumbling the low mids, and even though the guitar volume is back down, you start to hear the guitar start to feedback. Everything is really alive during the recording of this song. So this section, as I said, kicks off with that G major chord that concludes the previous section. Kind of clean the volume up, and then we're back to full volume for this little overdub, harmony overdub. 7, pull off 6 on the G. Drop down to 4. And then up to 5. The harmony guitar that you saw me performing in the little intro performance playthrough, we're playing. So you're playing 7 to 5 on the B, 7 on the G, 5 on the B. Okay, then we have this little run based around the C chord. So you're going 3, 2, 3, 4. Up to the D root to outline the D chord, slide up a whole tone, back to the D, and then play that same figure, sliding 5 up to 7 on the E, and then back to that A root note. So put that together. Now, on the original, there's lots of subtleties in the performance, and I'm never going to play it the same way twice. You kind of drop down to that G root note to start the progression again, and then lightly brush the strings, picking out some of the other notes within the G chord. Then drop down to the F sharp. Then we play an open E. I'm playing that a little bit more prominently than you hear it in the original, only to just give you the roadmap of the harmony of the progression. But play it quite softly, be very dynamic during the verse. And then we play a harmonic on the 12th fret E, a harmonic on the 7th fret E, and then back to the 12th fret. So you get this. Okay, then we have an A5. On the original, you really hear the feedback coming in on this chord. C5. Back to the G. Again, just playing that single note and just lightly brushing the notes of the chord. Then we have a B minor 7th, and for this, I saw a video when Mick Ronson played this part, and he sort of held a B minor in this position. He played a nice open E in the top, actually, when he was doing a little playthrough. So I've sort of used that as the basis for this next chord. You don't hear a full B minor 7th, you just hear the triad on the D, G, and B strings. So outlining the B minor 7th just with that little D triad. Again, really gently and lightly brush the strings. So following on from the B minor 7th, we have the C section. The A section. Back down to the G root. Playing that G and just lightly brushing some of the other notes in the chord. The F sharp. This time we hold the E minor. We play a little bit more of a definite chord arpeggio. You play the open 6th string, followed by the open top E and the open B. And then the open low E. A5 power chord, we start to get a little bit more powerful here. We're building the dynamics towards the chorus. C5. So as I said before, my strums might alter slightly. It's down to personal performance. So I haven't studied every single pick stroke that that he recorded. You know, I'm just obviously giving you the kind of meat and potatoes. It's up to you to work on the feel and the performance. So following on from the verse, we have the chorus. And again, I've used a little bit of sort of artistic assumptions, I guess is the word I'm looking for, in terms of playing the chords. As I said, I've seen a video of Mick Ronson holding his chords like this. This section is based around A5, G5 and F5. So I've seen some people playing it open position. So a lovely video of my late friend Michael Caswell performing on a Lick Library video, and he played it in the open position. That obviously works, but I don't know. I've kind of got a feeling it's going to be more of these chord shapes, but I could be wrong. This is my interpretation. I'm sure some of you will so painfully point it out to me if I've played the wrong chord voicings, but just playing the song, enjoying it. So I play it with my thumb, which is, again, how I've seen him fretting the chords. So you play the A5. So down, up, down, drop down to the G5. And then the F5, and we're going to play an 8th note rhythm here, but on the offbeat, you're going to take your thumb away to expose the open 6th string, the open E. And the final time we move up to that G5. So one more time. Okay, we repeat. One more time. And we go up to a D major, and we play this very sort of syncopated rhythm using some rhythmic mute. So that's down, 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 up, down, up, down. That's the directions of the rhythm. Okay, then up to the E major chord, and for the E major, it's a lot more syncopation here. We're going... Probably make more sense, actually, rhythmically, if I come from the D chord. Okay, just keeping a constant rhythm. A constant 16th note rhythm, 1 E and a 2 E and a, with your picking hand, and you're just lifting the chord up and down to either play the chord or the rhythmic mute. Following on from that, we go straight back to that big old fat G chord. And back into the main riff. So an absolutely iconic guitar part. You should know this riff. This is one of those riffs you should know. And hopefully the version that I've shown you today kind of clears up a few misconceptions about how it is played. That is all thanks to Warren sending me the isolated guitar so I could really hear things and hear where things are. As I said, this is my own interpretation. I'm sure that some of you out there will go, oh, I'd have played it like this, and that's great. It's up to us, up to you how you play, up to me how I play it. But I think this is fairly close to the original, hopefully. Really dynamic part as well. I love the light and shade, the way the guitar is feedbacking and then, cranking the guitar volume and, bringing in those heavy power chords. And it's just a really inventive guitar part. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. If you don't already, please subscribe, and I will see you here very soon. Bye for now.